one, if you've ever thought about becoming a real estate agent or you need to hire one, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to break down the major components of what I would do if I was starting day one in the industry to rapidly become the number one real estate agent in my market and a thought leader in my industry. As I just said in our private clubhouse room, we do on Breakfast with Champions in tandem with this segment. This is for anybody that is an entrepreneur, a brand new real estate agent, or an experienced real estate agent. The reason I say it's for anybody, even though we're talking about becoming a really good real estate agent, is sales and marketing apply to every single business. I would argue, even if I was an artist, that sales and marketing would apply to what I do, because I need to get into galleries, I need to build relationships, I need to build a skill set, and obviously want to become a thought leader in the artist space. So I'm going to walk you through what I think are the critical components of becoming a top agent today. Now, I did tell all my friends in the room that I'm going to expose the industry a little bit, because if you're a consumer, what you may not know is there are many pathways to become a successful real estate agent. I'm going to hone in on one today, but I need to talk about a couple of the different ways people approach the industry. So unfortunately, the celebritization of our space, shows like Selling Sunset, everybody's seeing these Instagram influencer real estate agents, has made the industry think, or made the consumers think, that becoming a successful real estate agent means getting a lot of followers, getting a lot of views on reels, and then not actually selling any houses. That's actually one way of becoming a real estate agent. People will get into the industry, do some sales, build a team out, and then get out of production as quickly as possible. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad business model for some people. I think it depends on the territory that you're in, what your long-term ambitions are. But as a consumer, when you hear that, how does that make you feel? Jump in the comments and let me know. If you're looking for a real estate agent and you hire somebody that you think has a great profile and tons of exposure, but you're getting somebody that doesn't actually transact, how would that make you feel as a consumer? And I think why I'm saying that is the one I'm going to focus on today is the person that you hire that is actually an expert at what they do, that is in production and a top agent that understands the market that they're in and can actually help you negotiate an amazing deal for your property. The reason I'm going to hone in on that is I truly believe, and I've said this for years, that the day of the craftsman is returning. The day of being an amazing carpenter, being an amazing cobbler, being an amazing butcher, or whatever it is you want to specialize in, people will pay a very high value for somebody with an over-indexing amount of skill, because the digital age, the influencer culture, a lot of that has kind of hit its max in its bull market, and the cream is rising to the top as the market corrects. If your market or your real estate market has seen a correction in the last year, I don't think you're alone. It's happened from a global perspective. That said, in the influencer space, in the coaching space, in the out of production space, there are great people that I am friends with as well. But I wanted to be very, very specific. I am talking about the 1% of agents that do 90% of the business, and the ones that really understand their market. So how do you become that person? Day one, I'm in real estate, and let's have a fun little thought exercise. I moved to Florida. I'm going down to Florida. I have no contacts down there, and I want to become the person in the market that you're going to call. Let's just say Naples. I'm going to throw a random city out there. So I go to Naples, and first thing I need to do is actually come up with a vision. So I want you to write this down. I want to write down the vision of what I want to accomplish in my business and call it the first year, 5 and 10 years. So the first year, I need to just get some listings and some buyers, and I need to start transacting, right? Now, from a mindset perspective, I need to realize where I'm at in the process. I think that's the next step. Having a vision of what you want to accomplish is incredibly important, and outlining that, but then also understanding where you're at in the process so that you can then do the next steps I'm going to teach you is critical. If I just go to Naples and start faking it until I make it and acting as if I'm the person that has all the connections when I really don't, I'm going to fall flat on my face. I think what's really important in any type of business is being true to where you're at in the process, but also not being scared of becoming the person that you want to become. So I think outlining a vision of this is what my business will look like in the next year, 5 or 10 years, but this is where I'm at right now. Now, the mindset piece that I also want to talk about is being committed to the process and not sugarcoating how much work it's going to take to get there, right? I think people will come into an industry, and if they don't get success in the first 3 to 6 to 9 months, they will leave. The attrition rate in real estate is massive. people will leave. I think 50% of, if you have a class of 100 people, 50% drop off after the first test, 50% drop off after the second, rarely make it to the third, and then 50% are out within their first 5 years of real estate. Meaning you typically only have about 8 people out of a graduating class of 100 that actually make it to year 5. They do say in real estate that by the time you get to year 5, you usually have a big enough client base that you start building a referral-based business. Now let's step back into the shoes of an entrepreneur. Does that not sound like something that would help you achieve success? That if you were committed to something for 3 to 5 years and you had enough customers and you really started treating those customers well enough that you wouldn't create heroes for your business that will bring more people to you. If you're in the coaching, you're in the thought leadership space, this works from a large digital scale perspective as well. If you have 1,000 true fans that are paying you $100 a year for a product, you have $100,000 a year business. Now, in the real estate space, you get paid a lot of money to do an individual transaction, and I will cover that in a couple seconds, but you need to start somewhere. So have a vision, have a mindset, and be committed to the process. Now, the most critical thing that I think any agent should have, and this is if you're looking to hire or if you're looking to become an amazing real estate agent, is market intelligence. We live in an age where sold data is public. The consumer commodifies real estate agents because we've done it to ourselves. The industry as a whole has truly treated being a real estate agent no different than picking a chair, as if we are all the exact same. You will hire 3 different agents to come into your house, give you an opinion of value. They're going to show you the same boring slide deck and, comparative analysis that they printed off MLS. You need to realize is you're not hiring a chair. You are hiring an individual who's going to guide you through the process and end up with a very different net effective result depending on how they approach a few of the key things I'm going to show you today. The number one thing, in my opinion, is the market intelligence. Let me give you a recent case study where we did an analysis for a client on a multifamily building. And when they called us about a year ago. They had somebody that was running the property, and this person was going to bring them an offer. And, what are your thoughts on this property and the investor market and the real estate market as a whole? And this was January 2022 as things were peaking. And there was a bull run in the real estate market. I understood the challenges of what was happening with this property. I also understood that there were 2 large manufacturers moving to the area. And more than that, we had done a number of recent transactions where I knew the dollar per unit value of this building in its current state versus if you renovated every single unit, what it would take to get financed, and what the buyer's aptitude would be to purchase that asset. Because a lot of times people will want to sell an asset based on the realized value, meaning you have unrenovated units, but you want to sell it as if all the units are renovated. That's a real thing, folks. People will want to sell their house and say, well, I think it's worth this because if you put in a pool, look at how much more it's going to be worth. Well, it doesn't have a pool, right? So our ability to come in and give them that advice led to them working through some challenges with the building. And then they called us back and they said, well, we have an investor offering us X dollars. I said, yeah, you can take that offer if you would like, or you can run it through our process, expose it to our network. Long story short, they actually yielded about $150,000 more putting it through our process because we actually understood the hurdles that this property had, did the due diligence up front, but more than anything had the market intelligence to show the investors that were purchasing it that paying $150,000 more was a win for them, and it was actually a win for the sellers. So I could go case study after case study after case study and tell you stories of properties that I've sold where my competition has said, that's worth 1.5 and I sold it for 1.765. And I can go on and on. But the moral of the story is every single one of those sales where I was able to bring disproportional value came down to the fact that I understood the market. Not necessarily where the market was at or where the comparables were at today, but who was going to buy that property, what was happening day to day. I was able to talk about risk versus reward, about further interest rate hikes. People are hating on commercial real estate right now, especially office, because of the fact that everybody's working from home. We are noticing a trend where people are adapting to a hybrid model and people still need offices, folks. So I think, looking at where the puck is going and hiring somebody that really understands that is everything. I'm actually going to share something with you to show you one more layer into the market intelligence piece. And you can save this for yourself if you're an agent, or you can, if you're a consumer, definitely want to make sure you're talking to somebody who understands stuff like this. So this is a trend line, right? This is just residential properties since the beginning of time in our market, which goes back to 2010 when they were tracking these stats. And I'm looking at average prices. And this is a fun graph to look at. I'll explain it for the audio listeners that are on Clubhouse right now. But if you want to see the stats, click the link at the top of the room. Why this is important and why I'm showcasing this is, if you look back here in January 2010, the average price was 271. If I go all the way to the peak, February 2022, 983. But what's important is when I'm talking about valuations, and I'm talking to Kim Walsh Phillips, and she has a $3 million lakefront property in Grand Bend. And she goes, Justin, it was worth $3 million at February 2022. Well, I can turn around and I can look at the adjustment in the marketplace and say, yeah, Kim, but it's gone down 600 grand. It's worth like 2.4 now. And she's like, well, I'm just going to wait for it to go back to $3 million. Not realizing that she bought it for $1 million. So, you know, even if she sold it for 2.4, she would be up $1.4 million. A lot of times people get stuck in the, well, I could have sold it for this. Well, when I explain this data and I interpret it for my clients, what I'll show them is, look at this trend line of price increases from 2010 to 2023. 2022 wasn't real, folks. Canadian government printed 40% more money than existed in our supply. Everybody started buying jet skis, going on vacation, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on landscaping. So this got flatlined when they started cranking the interest rates in Canada. It was unhinged. Buyer sentiment dropped off a cliff. And then look at this. Came back in January till about May. It looks like we're dropping again. Boots on the ground, the activity's picked up in the last 2 weeks. So when I'm consulting with my clients, I am on the ground day to day, and I'm able to interpret to Kim that, yeah, you know what? It looks like we're on a decline. We've seen 2 listings coming for every sale, but I can tell you the activity that I'm seeing on a week-to-week basis, I bet you we spike back up in the fall, maybe drop off a little bit over Christmas, and then Q4 2023 will tell us a lot about what's happening Q1 2024. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, there's all kinds of other metrics I could show you in terms of months of supply and how it's cyclical and, you know, the amount of days on market. And I can really dig in. I won't bore you with stats on Friday morning at 7 a.m. The whole point of what I'm trying to show you is, no matter what you do or where you do it in the world, people will pay you in proportional value to the problem that you solve. So I want you to think, or even jump in the comments and tell me who you are, what you do, what problem you solve, and what data points you need to be a black belt at in order to bring disproportional value to that client. Because if you have a proper vision, you have the right mindset, and you have great market intelligence, inherently, if you do your job consistently over time, I promise you, you will find success, and you will find people that cannot wait to tell all their friends and family how good you are at what you do. And the income will go just like that graph and increase over time. Very unique thing about our brokerage. We're one of the only brokerages on the planet that does residential, commercial, investing. We do agricultural, recreational properties. We have a Navy SEAL team for each one of those asset classes. What we focus on is making sure that our market intelligence in each one of those classes is world-class, and we're always collaborating to bring the best to the market. And that's how we are competing on a global scale with some of the biggest names you could possibly imagine. Brokerages that are way bigger than we are. We are winning national mandates, and we are absolutely killing it. But we like to fly under the radar because of the fact that we know over time that that's just going to compound. So compounding interest is a real thing. So compound your market intelligence. I'm going to rip through 5 more points that you need to write down in terms of how to kill it in the real estate space, find a great agent, or build your own business. First 2 were mindset, or first 3 were vision, mindset, market intelligence. Once you're great at what you do and you really truthfully have good market intelligence, I think communication is the next step. Understanding how to have those conversations. When I'm explaining to Kim Walsh Phillips the nature of the marketplace, that, you know, prices got leveled out in February 2022, or say Angeline called me and she was a cold lead off a Facebook ad, and I called Angeline and I'm like, hey, Angeline, it's Justin, just responding to your inquiry on Facebook. And her response was, I don't even remember clicking on that. Why are you calling me? Understanding how to communicate with human beings is incredibly important, because my response to Angeline could be something as simple as, oh, no problem at all. I know there's a lot of stuff on Facebook, and we do quite a bit in the real estate space. Are you in the market? understanding how to communicate and meet her where she's at and not wasting her time, her answer may be, no, I'm not. Never call me again. No problem. I'll get you out of my database and I won't bug you anymore. I'll value you and your time. Or she says, yeah, I'm in the market. I'm kind of watching it, but I'm worried about interest rates. Well, she's now signaled to me she needs that market intelligence piece we just talked about. Oh, no problem at all. I'll give her a rundown. Here's where I think where we're at. I actually think it's going to be bumpy for 8 months. So if you're not in a position to buy, that's okay. Have you talked to a lender? Are you connected with the right people? If not, maybe that's my pathway. It's not actually doing any actual real estate transaction. It's just helping her or getting her into the ecosystem so she can get the help she needs. Or she says, yeah, actually, I just sold my house. I have to buy a place in London. Or she's a business owner and she's like, I got to buy a 30,000 square foot office or 70,000 industrial square foot building in St. Thomas. Amazing. I've now communicated effectively with a human being and found a pathway where we can be in alignment or not. Understanding how to communicate is absolutely critical. There are tons of videos on this channel where I literally go over these concepts. You can hit that subscriber notification button if you want to go back and watch them. But I train communication every single day with my team. There's some systems that you can use. I would definitely encourage you to get a CRM. Again, I do a whole video on this channel breaking down my CRM, the different components of it. I'll keep it super simple. A CRM is simply a place where I will put Angeline's information. I will tag maybe what she's looking for, phone number, email, and it allows me to communicate at scale with the right fit clients. And people always say, oh, Justin, you're everywhere. You cover such a big territory. You do so many asset classes. Yet I'm more accessible than most people. We respond faster than most people, and we are better at most asset classes than most people because we have systems that allow us to do it at scale. Case in point, if Dr. Janie Lacey wanted to buy a 14-unit building in St. Thomas, I can tell you that I have tags in my CRM that if I get an off-market building and I have clients in it tagged properly, I can send it out to all of my clients and say, hey, look, I just found this building, and allow them to put their hand up and say, hey, I'm a buyer for that. But again, it starts with communication. So recap: vision, mindset, market intelligence, communication. Those are the first four. The last four are usually what people start with: marketing, marketing, sales, branding, and then the last bonus one is negotiation. The reason I put marketing after the initial ones was a lot of people will start with marketing and just tell the world that they're the best at what they do and start marketing themselves like crazy. They get people in their pipeline and then they fall flat because they don't have the market intelligence. They don't know how to communicate. They don't even really know what they do, and they don't have the right mindset. People can see and smell that on you. So I truly do believe you need to understand who you are, what do you do, where do you do it, how do you communicate with people, and then you start marketing yourself. Now, marketing is completely different than sales, right? Marketing is telling the world who you are, what you do, and where you do it. Sales is executing against a specific transaction. Dr. Janie Lacey wants to buy a 14-unit building in St. Thomas. What's the average price per unit? What's the upside? What's the financing look like? Guiding her through the sales process. I don't want to sell her. I want to shop with a friend. So marketing allows you to find the friends. Sales is the execution against the mandate that you get. Justin comes in and buys a pair of sneakers. The MKHBD sneakers are coming to my house today. I'm super hyped about them. They're going to go on my wall at my office. But that sales process happened because somebody marketed a product to me. I had a connection with the brand behind the product, and then I bought it, right? So there's a few components to the sales cycle. So marketing is important in today's day and age, man. You can get so tactical. If you have zero money, Justin has zero money and he gets dropped in Naples, Florida. I am looking up all the top pages on Instagram for Naples, Florida. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going into the comments and I am clicking on every single person who is a truly engaged person in Naples, Florida. And I'm starting to build my community by actually supporting other people first. So picture there's 20 parking meters that are all going to expire in Grand Bend on the Main Strip beach while everybody's hanging out on the beach. And I'm going down the parking meters and I'm dropping quarters in everybody else's meter. And then every so often I am putting something out there about stats on real estate in Naples, Florida. And the reason that I'm doing it that way is if I'm putting in 18 quarters in other people's meters, the algorithms will actually pick up those engagements. And then all of a sudden, when I drop information about Naples, Florida, that audience will be engaged against my content. So I'm being very strategic around who I am, what do I do, and where do I do it. But from a marketing perspective, I think of marketing as community building. And I think in this day and age, people, again, don't want to be sold. They want to shop with friends. So you definitely want to make sure that you're spending time interacting in the ecosystems that you eventually want to be a part of, and you need to earn their trust. Think about marketing as walking into a high school cafeteria at a brand new school. I think we all just got a feeling of like, oh, I know what that would feel like. And then just announcing to everybody in the cafeteria, I'm Justin, I'm the best real estate agent in the world. They're going to think I'm a crazy person. Versus if I decide to sit down at each table and just start asking people about who they are, what they do, and being involved in the community, and then realizing that I can connect a lot of those different people inherently. If I do that and then I tell the world about the market intelligence that I do have, it's just a matter of time before those people start working with me. And then I get the opportunity to earn their trust, which is the sales component. So in my opinion, the most important thing about sales is the founding principle of our brokerage. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. I've never been transactional. I've built my entire business on the relational capital. You can make a lot of money selling real estate. You can make a lot of money selling custom sneakers. You become wealthy through the opportunities you get through the relationships you make in this business. I have seen so many agents quantify, oh, I don't want to do that lease. It's, a couple $1,000. I'm going to lose money on that depending on how much time I spend against it. Yet, one of the biggest checks I ever got was a tiny little lease that turned into a really, really big lease because we earned the relationship piece, right? So I would say on the sales side, really start putting yourself in the shoes of the person, no pun intended, because I was talking about custom sneakers, that you are interacting with, and look at the transaction through their eyes. I've fallen in this trap. I'm sure other agents have as well too, where you're just so used to doing what you do, or if you're a black belt at it, it's second nature to you. But this may be a transaction that your client's only doing one of every 10 years. They're moving their entire family to a 100-acre farm. And, it's a very emotional thing because they're leaving the place that they raised their kids till they were 14. And a couple kids are going to school, and we just got out of the pandemic, and, it's super stressful. And if I can understand and meet my people where they're at, I'm going to be better prepared to serve them, right? So sales is service at the end of the day. And I came from hospitality before real estate. I think hospitality is a great place for most real estate agents to train thousands and thousands of interactions. So if you're interested in getting into real estate from the hospitality space, I would definitely encourage you to do that. Two more things, then I'll give you a fast recap. So after sales, then comes branding. So branding is exactly what I explained about MKHBD, the guy that has the YouTube channel that talks about tech. He dropped a pair of sneakers that I bought that I'm going to put in my office. Why? I love cinematography, I love media, and I love real estate. He inspires me to be a better cinematographer. He inspires me to put out better quality videos. I sell real estate using storytelling in a way that I don't think anybody else on the planet does, or that is at least my vision. So surrounding myself with inspiration is something that I try and do. The wall of champions behind me, everything that I have on the office studio. So his branding is just excellence, right? So I bought those sneakers because he branded himself as that person. I think if you're a brand new agent and you're looking to brand yourself in a market, or you're that custom sneaker person and you're looking to brand your establishment, I don't want you to think about branding as your logo and your website and your colors and all the things that people think matter when it comes to branding. It's what is the feeling people get when they actually interact with your business. I'm talking like real feelings. There's going to be some people that brand themselves as discount agents. People are so scared to talk about that in my industry. I'm happy for them, because they're going to attract the people that could care less about the market intelligence and the negotiations and everything else. They just want the cheapest option. And that's okay. They're going to brand themselves as that person, and they're going to attract that client. I'm going to go the complete opposite way. You sign a mandate with us, the amount of hour deployment, the checklists we have, the staff we have, the cinematography we're going to do, I couldn't possibly run a business being a discount agent, and I'm not for that person. So I've branded myself as a very high-end service with very high-end results. That is branding. And then your branding trickles through everything else that you do from a communication standpoint. And I don't think of marketing, I don't think of communication any different whether I am showing up on Twitter, LinkedIn, or I am walking into your coffee shop or interacting with you or going out with clients and showing properties. It's all branding. I actually hate the word brand because it sounds like something people think about when they want to just create this image of who they are, but they live their life very differently. I would encourage people that you're all beautifully and wonderfully made. And if you are inherently skillful at what you do and you do it effectively for consistently enough time, that will become your brand, right? So that's how I want you to think about branding, is being very clear on the first components I taught you, and then not being shy to tell the world that that's who you are. Show up in that way consistently and think strategically when you're looking at your marketing and your stories on Instagram and everything else. It's all communication. Don't treat it any differently, and you're going to attract human beings, because at the other end of that digital media, in this room, there were 406 people that are human beings watching the stream. Human beings. I want to know who you are and where you're from, because my community really does matter to me. The very last piece, negotiations. So understanding how to negotiate as a real estate agent, to me, I can bring 2 to 3% value to a client without a doubt. I can prove this time after time, because we strategically negotiate to the point where if I'm calling Dora Marie, thanks, branding is everything. It is everything, Dora. But if I'm negotiating a deal for Dora and I call another agent, a lot of times I'll actually frame the entire negotiation in an email, call the agent, go through it point by point by point, send the email as I'm talking to the agent, tell him it's in his inbox, and it's written in a way that he can present it to his client. I know that the gene pool is shallow in my industry, and that agent may not write down any notes, may not communicate anything to his client that I told him. So I'm going around him to his client and strategically negotiating at an ultra high level. I want you to think about, how do you negotiate what you do, whether you're going to be a brand new agent, whether you're negotiating a large wholesaling deal in the shoe space or whatever it may be. Negotiations is something that you should have a system for. So as a quick recap for you all, make sure you have a great vision, unreal mindset when it comes to what you want to accomplish, cutting edge market intelligence, communication skills, marketing, sales, branding, and negotiations. Well, that was my entire segment, but every single one of those topics has a probably hour-long video on this channel. So if you got any value from it, share this with somebody that you think would appreciate it. Go find one of those videos. Let me know you're there. If not, I'll see you on the next live training. If you want me to do any specific topics, let me know. This channel is for the people, by the people. I am not for sale. I'm just here to help you build an incredible business of your own. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you.